Look at the maps from before the mid-19th century, and you will see something that modern geography books claim is an impossibility. You will see a southern continent that is not a frozen wasteland, but a vibrant, green, and populated land known as Southern Tartaria. This is the ultimate geographical lie of our epoch. Antarctica was not always frozen. It was the heart of the Tartarian world's environmental management system, a continent filled with flourishing megacities and high-technology climate hubs. The first promise is a tectonic shock. We will reveal the seized Antarctic maps of 1841, original documents that show vast river systems, mountain ranges without snow, and the precise coordinates of the South Pole Star Fortress. The second promise. We will expose the ice shield hoax, proving that the massive glaciers we see today are the result of a calculated atmospheric cooling operation conducted by the Cabal to seal off the southern resources. The third promise. We will reveal the Tartarian Heat-Pump artifact, a massive subterranean machine that once maintained the tropical temperature of the continent. The fourth promise. We will show the faked expedition photography of Ross and Shackleton, used to create the illusion of a dead, uninhabitable land. Watch until the very end. Subscribe this channel, like this video, and you will learn the true reason why every nation on Earth signed the Antarctic Treaty to keep you away from the ruins of the Southern Empire. The conspiracy to freeze the South was the final move in the global reset. When the Cabal realized they could not fully conquer the advanced Southern Tartarian cities through conventional warfare, they decided to bury them under ice. They utilized captured climate control technology to shift the planetary jet streams and induce a localized permanent ice age. The discovery of Antarctica in the early 19th century was actually the beginning of the military sealing operation. The explorers were not looking for land, they were looking for the remaining Tartarian energy hubs to deactivate them. The cities of the south were built on top of massive geothermal vents, and the Tartarians used sophisticated piping systems to distribute this heat across the entire continent. This is why the early sailors reported warm winds and mirages of green forests as they approached the southern limits. It wasn't a mirage, it was the dying breath of a tropical paradise. The Cabal took these heat pumps and reversed their function, or simply destroyed them, allowing the natural cold of the high latitudes to reclaim the land. The next segment will expose the chilling evidence of the captured star fort in the ice that serves as the blueprint for the current secret bases. The star fortresses of the south were the most advanced in the Tartarian network. The next segment will reveal the truth about the Mount Erebus Energy Hub. Official science calls it a volcano, but the secret 19th century military logs describe it as a synthetic mountain housing a planetary-scale fusion core. The Tartarians built their cities around these artificial heat sources. When the Cabal arrived, they found the Erebus hub still operational, emitting a massive heat signature that kept the surrounding territory lush and green. They couldn't destroy a machine of that size, so they used the atmospheric moisture injector to create a constant artificial blizzard around the site. This created the massive ice shelf we see today. The glaciers are not millions of years old, they are the industrial byproduct of a climate weapon. We have found letters from early 19th century sailors who saw the golden domes of a city peeking through the clouds of steam near the volcano before they were turned back by naval blockades. The next segment will reveal the chilling artifact used to create the artificial ice wall. We reveal the Tartarian atmospheric condenser. This device, often mislabeled as a 19th century naval beacon or an experimental lighthouse lens in secret admiralty archives, was a massive frequency emitter. Its true function was to ionize the water vapor in the atmosphere, causing it to flash freeze and fall as dense, heavy snow on command. The Cabal positioned these condensers on the outer rim of the southern continent, creating a literal ice wall that expanded every year. By the mid-19th century, they had successfully created a 200-foot-high barrier of solid ice that made further exploration by civilian ships impossible. The Ross Ice Shelf is the result of this technological blockade. It was built to keep the survivors of the reset from reaching the unfrozen interior where the Tartarian resistance was still active. The next segment will expose the truth behind the faked heroic age of exploration. The heroic age of Antarctic exploration was a series of staged propaganda events. The next segment will reveal that Scott, Amundsen, and Shackleton were cabal actors and military cartographers tasked with finalizing the faked map of the frozen South. Their photos were taken in carefully selected barren zones or even staged in northern latitudes to reinforce the narrative of a dead continent. The famous Race to the Pole was a cover story for the final military assault on the South Pole megacity. While the public followed the newspapers, the Cabal's secret fleet was using thermal weapons to melt paths toward the central Tartarian hub to loot its archives. The death of Captain Scott was a fake tragedy used to discourage any other nations or private citizens from attempting to reach the interior. They needed you to fear the cold so you wouldn't find the warmth. The final block of this part exposes the suppressed southern flora records. In the early 1800s, botanical gardens in Europe and Russia received shipments of impossible plants from the southern latitudes, giant ferns and orchids that could only grow in high-energy, tropical environments. These samples were quickly confiscated by the royal societies, and the records were destroyed. The Cabal replaced these records with the story that Antarctica has been frozen for 30 million years. This is a chronological lie. The freezing happened in the 19th century, and the evidence is still there, preserved perfectly in the permafrost. The New World was built on the lie that the Earth is a cold and limited place, but the Southern Tartarian Empire proves that we once lived in a world without winter. The freezing of the southern rim was only the external layer of the blockade. The next segment will expose the chilling reality of the Southern Tartarian geothermal grid and how the Cabal successfully sabotaged the life support systems of an entire continent. You have seen the artificial blizzards and the faked explorer logs. If this evidence confirms that Antarctica is a captured and suppressed industrial paradise, make sure you subscribe to the Epoch Reset channel and hit the like button right now, because we are about to reveal the internal naval charts from the 1850s showing the massive network of steaming hot water canals that once crisscrossed the Antarctic interior. These were not natural features. They were the cooling and heating veins of the Tartarian planetary machine. The cities of the South were built using a specialized active thermal masonry, stone blocks infused with copper and gold filaments that acted as massive radiators. The official story of the 19th century is that the South was always a void. In reality, it was the most energy-efficient region on Earth. The Cabal utilized their captured atmospheric condensers to cut off the sun's reach, but the Tartarian cities stayed warm for decades using their deep-crust heat pumps. To finish the reset, the Cabal had to launch the deep well sabotage. They sent specialized teams to find the heart valves of the continent, the main geothermal intake stations, and fill them with concrete and chemical freezing agents. This caused the cities to literally freeze from the inside out. The next segment will reveal the chilling artifact used to monitor the cooling of the Southern Empire. The monitoring of the continental freeze required a specialized Tartarian device. We reveal the Tartarian cryometric gauge. This device, often mislabeled as a 19th century deep-sea thermometer or a specialized surveying level in maritime museums, was a highly sensitive energy sensor. Its true function was to measure the rate of etheric heat dissipation from the ground. The Cabal used these gauges to determine which Tartarian cities were still active and which had successfully been extinguished. By tracking the fading heat signatures, they could coordinate their military landings to occur exactly when the local population was too weakened by the cold to resist. The ice cores that modern scientists study are actually the frozen records of this industrial sabotage, containing the chemical markers of the agents used to kill the geothermal pumps. The next segment will reveal the shocking truth behind the Antarctic pyramids. The mountains that look like pyramids in Antarctica are not natural formations. The next segment will expose the truth behind the Antarctic Star Fort pyramids. These were the primary atmospheric energy converters of the Southern Tartarian Empire. They were covered in a white, reflective, crystalline skin that absorbed solar and cosmic radiation, converting it into heat for the subterranean city complexes below. The Cabal didn't just let them freeze. They used molecular disruptors to shatter the outer skin, making the pyramids look like jagged, natural peaks. We have found 19th century sketches from unofficial whalers that show these structures as perfectly smooth and glowing before the Great Whiteout of the late 1800s. These pyramids are the antennas of the South, and they are still there, buried under hundreds of feet of artificial ice, waiting for the signal to defrost. The next segment will reveal the chilling artifact used to shatter the crystalline skin of the Antarctic hubs. The destruction of the pyramid's energy-harvesting skin was a high-priority mission. We reveal the Tartarian Resonance Shatterer. This device, often described as a 19th century experimental sonic cannon in hidden military archives, was a specialized frequency weapon. Its true function was to identify the resonant frequency of the crystalline coatings used on Tartarian buildings and emit a counter frequency that caused the material to disintegrate into fine sand. This is why the Antarctic ruins look like natural rock today. The Cabal used the Shatterer to age the cities by thousands of years in a single day. By turning the high-tech facades into rubble, they ensured that any future explorer would see only geology instead of archaeology. The suppression of this weapon is the reason why the official history of Antarctica remains a tale of ice and stone rather than tech and glass. The final block of this part reveals the truth about the suppressed 1840s Wilkes expedition. Charles Wilkes was not just exploring, he was mapping the final borders of the Tartarian South. His original journals, which were later edited by the Navy, contained descriptions of cities of glass and vast botanical domes visible through his telescope. When he returned to the U.S., he was court-martialed, not for failure, but to silence the truth about what he saw. The Cabal used his maps to establish the ice line where the military blockade would begin. The 19th century was the century where the geography of the world was narrowed and the southern paradise was locked in a vault of ice. The New World was built on the lie that the South is a frozen wall when it is actually a hidden gateway. The architectural shattering and the freezing of the geothermal pumps left the Southern Tartarian Empire in a state of suspended animation. The next segment will expose the chilling reality of the Antarctic dome cities and the secret naval war fought in the mid-19th century to secure these high-tech hubs. You have seen the resonance shatterers and the suppressed journals of the Wilkes expedition. If this evidence confirms that the South Pole is the location of a stolen civilization's crown jewels, make sure you subscribe to the Epoch Reset channel and hit the like button right now, because we are about to reveal the internal 1860s Admiralty reports describing the discovery of massive, pressurized glass domes that protected entire tropical forests from the artificial snow. These were the atmospheric bioshields of the Southern Empire. While the Cabal was freezing the continent from the outside, the Tartarians retreated into these massive, self-sustaining enclosures. The domes were not made of ordinary glass, but of a superconductive transparent alloy that could generate its own internal light and heat from the planetary ether. The Cabal's mid-19th century naval campaigns in the South were not about exploration. They were siege operations aimed at cracking these domes. They used heavy thermal boring equipment to penetrate the bioshields and vent the internal heat, causing an instant, catastrophic freeze that killed everyone inside. The ruins of these domes are what modern pilots sometimes mistake for unusual crater formations in the Antarctic interior. The next segment will reveal the chilling artifact used to penetrate the Tartarian bioshields. The penetration of the pressurized domes required a specialized piece of Tartarian technology that the Cabal had captured in the northern resets. We reveal the Tartarian molecular drill. This device, often mislabeled as a 19th century prototype for deep-sea mining, or a specialized industrial boring machine in secret military inventories, was a directed energy drill. Its true function was to soften the atomic bonds of any material, allowing a physical object to pass through solid walls as if they were liquid. The Cabal used these drills to create entry ports in the Tartarian domes without shattering the entire structure, allowing military strike teams to enter and seize the energy cores. This is why many of the frozen ruins in the south remain structurally intact but emptied of their inhabitants and technology. The molecular drill is the physical proof that the 19th century military had access to tools that defy modern physics. The next segment will reveal the shocking truth behind the faked Southern Lights, Aurora Australis. The Southern Lights are not always a natural phenomenon. The next segment will expose the truth behind the atmospheric energy leakage and the faked aurora. After the Cabal cracked the Tartarian domes and deactivated the main geothermal pumps, the massive amounts of stored energy began to leak into the upper atmosphere. These lights were originally the visible discharge of the Southern Empire's dying power grid. The Cabal realized they could use this to their advantage. They began to use the captured energy towers to project their own frequency broadcasts into the sky, creating artificial light displays that masked the ongoing military activity in the region. By telling the world that these lights were natural solar particles, they provided a convenient cover for the massive electromagnetic signatures generated by their secret bases. The aurora is the beautiful mask over a scene of technological looting. The next segment will reveal the chilling artifact used to manipulate these atmospheric light displays. The manipulation of the sky required a massive antenna array that was already in place. We reveal the Tartarian sky projector. This device, often described as a commemorative light monument or a giant mirror array in the reports of 19th century whalers, was a planetary-scale projection system. Its true function was to interface with the ionosphere to create global communication displays or to adjust the local albedo of the continent. The Cabal repurposed the sky projectors to create the illusion of a barren, frozen sky, hiding the massive hovering Tartarian transport platforms that were still being hunted down by the New World's Navy. The suppression of the sky projector is the reason why our history of the sky is as empty as our history of the South. The final block of this part reveals the truth about the 1848 discovery of gold in California and Australia. This was a strategic distraction. The Cabal needed to move the surplus population away from the coasts of the South and into controlled territories where they could be put to work. By creating gold rushes, they ensured that the boldest and most adventurous people would spend their lives digging in the dirt in the north rather than sailing south to find the truth. The gold found in these rushes was often remelted Tartarian bullion that the Cabal seeded into the ground to create the illusion of natural wealth. The 19th century was the century of the Great Distraction, where the eyes of humanity were turned toward the mud while the Cabal secured the gates of the Antarctic paradise. The final block of this part reveals the truth about the 1848 discovery of gold in California and Australia. This was a strategic distraction. The Cabal needed to move the surplus population away from the coasts of the South and into controlled territories where they could be put to work. By creating gold rushes, they ensured that the boldest and most adventurous people would spend their lives digging in the dirt in the north rather than sailing south to find the truth. The gold found in these rushes was often remelted Tartarian bullion that the Cabal seeded into the ground to create the illusion of natural wealth. The 19th century was the century of the Great Distraction, where the eyes of humanity were turned toward the mud while the Cabal secured the gates of the Antarctic paradise. The final stage of the Antarctic erasure was the creation of a legal and military barrier that would last for centuries. The next segment will expose the chilling reality of the 19th century Southern Quarantine and the eventual formation of the Antarctic Treaty as a final lock on the Southern Empire. You have seen the molecular drills and the sky projectors. If this evidence confirms that the world is much larger and more abundant than you have been led to believe, make sure you subscribe to the Epoch Reset channel and hit the like button right now, because we are about to reveal the internal cabinet meeting minutes from the 1890s detailing the agreement between the New World powers to share the spoils of the Southern Tartarian cities while keeping the public in total ignorance. The heroic expeditions of the late 19th and early 20th centuries were actually the final cleanup cruise. Their mission was to install the first layers of the global surveillance grid that now monitors the southern ice wall. They needed to ensure that no wild ship could ever accidentally wander into the unfrozen zones. The Cabal established a military zone of silence that covers everything beyond the 60th parallel. This is why you are not allowed to fly over the pole, why your GPS fails in the high latitudes, and why every major government on Earth, even those in conflict, agrees on one thing: that Antarctica is a sacred, frozen laboratory for science. The next segment will reveal the chilling artifact used to maintain the radio and signal blackout over the Southern Empire. The maintenance of the signal blackout required a planetary-scale interference device. We revealed the Tartarian ionospheric shunt. This artifact, often mislabeled as a 19th century experimental wireless station or a polar magnetic research lab, was a massive copper and iron array built on the ruins of a Tartarian star fort. Its true function was to redirect the natural flow of the ionosphere, creating a localized dead zone for all forms of long-range communication. The Cabal seized this shunt and used it to prevent the survivors of the Southern Empire from broadcasting their location to the rest of the world. Even today, the modern research bases in Antarctica are actually housing the upgraded versions of this shunt, ensuring that any independent satellite or drone that enters the area is instantly blinded. The 19th century world was the first to be magnetically fenced to keep the truth from leaking out. The next segment will reveal the shocking truth behind the faked hollow Earth theories of the 1800s. The hollow Earth theories popularized in the 19th century were a controlled opposition narrative. The next segment will expose how the Cabal used these stories to lead the curious away from the surface truth. By suggesting that the civilization was inside the Earth, they made people ignore the fact that it was simply beyond the ice on the surface. They wanted people to look for entrances at the poles that don't exist, while the real Tartarian cities were sitting out in the open, just hidden by the artificial blizzards and the blockade. The Sims hole theory was a psychological trap designed to make the Southern Empire sound like a fantasy. Meanwhile, the Cabal's secret navy was busy building the first industrial icebreakers, not to explore, but to crush the remaining Tartarian transport vessels that were frozen in the new ice. The next segment will reveal the chilling artifact used to detect Tartarian ships through the ice. The detection of buried Tartarian technology required a device capable of seeing through hundreds of feet of solid ice. We reveal the Tartarian echolocation plate. This device, often described as a 19th century hydrophone or a specialized sonar prototype in maritime logs, was a sophisticated piezoelectric scanner. Its true function was to visualize the internal structure of the ice and identify the presence of metallic or crystalline hulls trapped within. The Cabal used these plates to locate and loot the ghost fleet of the Southern Tartarian Empire. They recovered thousands of artifacts and tons of red mercury before the ice became too thick to penetrate. The suppression of this technology is why modern ground-penetrating radar is presented as a new and difficult science when it was already perfected by the Cabal in the 1870s. The final act of the Southern Deception is the belief that Antarctica is a lifeless wasteland. We have exposed the tropical maps, the geothermal sabotage, the bioshield domes, and the ionospheric shunts. The 19th century was the century where the world was made small and the Southern Empire was turned into a myth. The ultimate question is not what is at the pole, but who is waiting for the ice to melt. The final artifact of the Antarctic reset is the Tartarian Sun Key. This is a large golden crystalline lens found in the ruins of the Erebus hub. It is a focusing device for the planetary heat pump grid. If placed back into its original housing, it can theoretically realign the atmospheric condensers to pull warmth back into the continent, melting the artificial ice wall in a matter of weeks. The Cabal maintains a permanent military guard over the key chamber because they know that the moment the South thaws, the geographical lie will be shattered forever. The tropical world is still there, beneath the ice, waiting for the light. We have revealed the ultimate geographical secrets of the Antarctic reset. If this video has shattered your view of the world map in the frozen South, then subscribe to Epoch Reset, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment below right now. Tell us, do you believe there are unfrozen cities behind the ice wall? And what secret research do you think the global military is really conducting in the Forbidden South?